we started to talk about the times up to your deployment. Now let's talk about the deployment. You arrived in Baghdad in September of 2005. Talk about your experiences in the 3 months that your team was there and what you guys went through in those 3 months.
Basically, we were plopped in an area, and I say we. My company was kind of detached as a company of its own and sent to a small little base called FOB Union 3 in the heart of Baghdad. And we went in not really knowing how we were going to be utilized, what we were going to be doing. There was already a unit there, and they were going to be there for the whole time that we were there. And they were kind of running patrols out in and out the area, so we didn't really know what we were going to be doing there. And we started pretty much just guarding around the area, and nothing like what we had trained for. You know, you never train for guard. Basically, when you're on guard, it's just watching, kind of just sitting idle for like 8 hours on end and just watching things. Very boring, tedious job. And that's what we were told to do. We didn't know how long that was going to last, but I'll tell you, that's not what we wanted to do, because that's not what you train for. And we felt like we weren't being utilized to our potential. So we start guarding this building, whatever it was. It just looked like a regular giant marble building to us. And we soon found out that this was a courthouse. And not only was it a courthouse, but it was actually the courthouse where Saddam Hussein and a couple of his cronies were going to be put on trial. And so that was kind of cool, just figuring out that, okay, well, history is about ready to be made right at our feet. So, I mean, it made guard, I guess, a little bit more tolerable, knowing that we are serving a purpose. But it didn't make the task any more enjoyable. So basically, our company was tasked out in many different areas on the roof, around the buildings, around the entrances, and we did the outer security while the trial was going on inside. And it was kind of neat to see it in the papers, and you'd go to lunch and see it on the TVs and notice that, man, I could, from where I sleep, I could throw a rock at that building. So it was really neat that for a history aspect of that happening, right, you know, being a part of that, as small, I guess, participation as we were. But I'm glad it didn't last long. It was only like a couple months detail. I think we finished up in mid-December, and the trial kept on getting prolonged, but our time was done, and we were asked to move up north to do our jobs, and we were very excited about that. Finally, we were going to be utilized to our potential, and we left about mid-December.
Yeah, and when you were moved up to Tikrit, did you feel a sense of urgency, like, okay, we're, like you just said, we're about to go and really do our jobs as infantry soldiers, and did you feel that they were using you more as police officers during your time in Baghdad?
Basically, when we were leaving Baghdad, we knew we were not going to be doing the same role we had in Baghdad. We knew we were going to be running combat patrols, dismounted patrols, pretty much everything that we trained for. And that was new. That was good news for us, because finally we were like, all right, good. All that training was not for naught. So we decided, we got kind of like a second wind, if you will, for our deployment, and we're finally realizing we're going to be used to our potential. So when we did move up north, we were fully ready to take on whatever was about to be exposed to us.
So let's talk about what was exposed when you got up north.
Basically, when we got up there, typical Iraqi town. Tikrit was not that large, but it was manageable. It was our company was operating it again as a company, and like I said, a typical Iraqi town is full of garbage in the streets, a lot of people, crammed houses, and each house has its like own wall inside. I guess they really take pride in their own isolation from everybody else, and going in, we just were like, kind of like the police. We were the military, we were the police, we were the everything for Tikrit. And we went in learning a lot from the unit that was leaving, because we were coming in, and we just took over the reins of the city, and it was in our control, basically. And they had military police, and they had an army unit there, which they were not that helpful at all. It took a long way for them to earn our trust, and I don't even know if they really did. I mean, I never really trusted them the whole time I was there. So it was a lot of getting to know them, working with them, and also the people. We had to earn their trust, and we didn't really have it. and things that we were exposed to basically that started amping up within our first month there was a new thing at the time of these roadside bombs, or IEDs that they're calling it, really picking up throughout the country. So everything was a learning curve. We're operating in Humvees as convoys of 4 Humvees. And this is all on-the-go training, because basically when we trained for those 2 years, everything was on foot. Everything was in the woods. We were wearing green camel paint. Yeah, of course we knew we were going to Iraq, but it took a while for the training to catch up with us. So we basically went in hard charging and learning everything on the go, on the fly. And that's how things went throughout the rest of the deployment while we were into crit.
So you did mention that in your book, that you were more trained to be going into Vietnam than you were into a situation like Iraq.
Yeah, and that's just unfortunate, but that's the way things were. I think it took a while for us to catch up. We were fighting a war, but we weren't focusing on how we were training for that war, because we had these trained troops, so they say trained, sent them over, but it took some time for us to revamp our training, and it's still being revamped as the military moves along. So going in, I mean, I had no Arabic training or anything, no like culture training, everything. We just learned so much going in, but that's what happens when you get dumped in and everything's on the go.